I feel like tonight's episode was a setup to a reoccurring nightmare that I'm going to have of someone screaming, hold the door, over and over and over again. What's up, guys? It's Angela, and I'm here to do my season 6, episode 5 Game of Thrones recap. This episode was called The Door, and I think Game of Thrones has gone way too far, in my opinion, but that is coming up, so stay tuned for that. Let's just jump right into this episode. We start off with a seriously awkward meeting between Sansa and Littlefinger, and she basically asked him, you know what kind of person he was, right? You know what he did to me. And Peter's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and now I want to help you. A little too late, Peter. So go away. And basically, Sansa sends him on his way. He does tell her that her great uncle, I believe, has assembled an army in the Riverlands. So that is going to come into play a little bit later. And we go over to Bravos, where Arya is still getting her ass kicked by Arya Jr. I thought we were over this when Arya got her sight back. What is going on? Are we reverting to the former pattern here? I mean, seriously, it's time for Arya to take control. But basically, Arya Jr. tells her, you're never going to fit in here. And Jaqen comes in. Jaqen comes in looking pretty damn hot. Anyway, he was like, Arya Jr. is right. We've never had a faceless man come from a noble-born house, I believe is what he said, or something along those lines. And he gives Arya a second chance at an assassination. He says, you don't get a third, so don't mess it up. And she is basically tasked to go to a play and kill one of the actors there. Little does she know that it is a play about what is going on in Westeros and what has been going on basically seasons 1 through 3 of Game of Thrones. So it has, Robert Baratheon, his death, then it brings out Ned Stark, and she starts to get really pissed off. So I think that this is going to go to show that Arya cannot actually become a faceless man. I don't know of anyone that has thought that she's actually going to go through with it and finally complete her training and just forget all about her family. But in my opinion, this is only setting it up for, if she gets word of Sansa and Jon, she's going to go back in a heartbeat, especially Jon, because they were so incredibly close. And if she gets word that, he's no longer at the wall and instead he's trying to fight for the Stark family name, then she will jump ship and go be with her family, which I think is going to happen very, very soon. I hope it's going to happen very soon. Even though I love Jaqen, Arya, it's time to be reunited. And it'll feel really good. For me, as the viewer, of course. She is trying to figure out why they want this woman dead. She said she seems like a nice person, yada yada. And again, it's just going to show that I don't think she can ever fully become a faceless man because she's asking way too many questions. She can't just do an assignment. She's got to know why and who and all this other detail. And Jaqen refuses to give it to her, obviously. But I think Arya pretty much guesses the right person that wants her dead. We find out in this episode a lot about what's going on with Bran, and especially the children. So way, way, way back in the time of the First Men, the children were being threatened by the First Men. The First Men were coming in, they were cutting down all their trees, and basically endangering the way that they lived. So we know from previous episodes that the children were there first, and then the First Men came and just kind of took over the land and everything that was there. In order to protect themselves, the children took a man, tied him to a tree, and basically stabbed him in the heart to have him become the Night King or just a White Walker. I'm assuming it's the Night King. But yeah, he was created by the children to protect themselves against the First Men, and now that this creature has gotten out of control, the children really can't stop it. So, yeah. We see the big-ass battle between the children and the White Walkers tonight, which was pretty crazy. So we're going over to the Iron Islands next, where the King's Moot is in progress, and Yara makes a big old speech, and Theon is, just kind of standing there, and they're like, we can't really get on the side of a queen. We've never had a queen, and especially with Balon's firstborn son right here, like, he should be our king. And Theon stands behind Yara, and then Euron shows up, and he's like, I want my piece, and I am, putting my hat in the ring, essentially. He's running to become king of the Iron Islands. And he tells them that, he's going to build the strongest fleet ever, go across the sea, get Daenerys and her army on his side, um, and basically join forces with her, come back and conquer. So everyone basically decides that they're going to go with Euron, except for a handful of people that are loyal to Yara. And while Euron is being, crowned king, the way that the Iron Island folk do, Theon, Yara, and a few of their followers escape in boats. Okay, we go over to Dany, who is talking to Jorah and Daario, and she's like, Jorah, I've told you to go away twice, and twice you've come back. I can't get rid of you. Thank you for saving my life. Jorah comes clean about the grayscale, tells her he loves her, and she basically assigns him the impossible task of going off by himself and finding a cure for grayscale, and then coming back because she's going to need him by her side when she takes over Westeros. Like, all right, well, if I were Jorah, I would be under a rock somewhere. And I really don't think Jorah's going to find it by himself. That's just my opinion. I think that if Dany thought about it, I think because this may be far-reaching, I don't know, but grayscale kind of reminds me of like dragons, and I think she's the mother of dragons, and maybe she could find the cure for grayscale. But like I said, I don't know. And I'm really just questioning how much Jorah wants to continue on, even though his queen demanded that he go out and find the cure. If I were Jorah, I'd be under a rock. Like, seriously, you didn't even leave me one freaking person to help me on my quest, Dany. You have a whole Khalasar now. You could have left one person, spared one person. But no. Tyrion is wanting to get the word out that Daenerys is the one that's doing all this good for the people. They know that they're, being treated better, that they're no longer in chains, especially in Meereen. But no one's really realizing, I guess, that Dany's the one doing this. And so he calls upon a priestess of the Lord of Light for help spreading the word about this. She said that, they both serve the same queen, and Varys is really skeptical on this one. And she starts talking about all those years ago when he was a young boy and he was castrated, how there was a voice in the fire, and she keeps going on into all these details. And I think finally Varys sees that, hey, maybe she is actually legit. Bran is up in the trees with the three-eyed raven. They're doing a few memory walks this episode, and then Bran decides to go solo dolo, and I'm like, oh shit, this is not going to end well, and it doesn't. He is right outside the tree where they are, and all of a sudden he sees the White Walker army, which is massive, you guys. Like, holy cow, that army is huge. And turns around, and the Night King is coming up to him, touches him on the arm, so he marks him, and is able to find Bran, and not only find Bran now, but get into the tree where they're hiding. And all hell breaks loose. Let me just tell you, holy crap, it's crazy. And the Red Raven's like, you have to leave right now. So plans are being made to get them out and on their way. Sansa, Jon, and the crew are at the Castle Black, and they are strategizing about battle, about ways to do battle. And in this scene, we get Sansa lying to Jon and the whole small council, I'll call it for lack of a better term, about how she found out that her uncle had assembled an army. She tells him that before she left Winterfell, Ramsay received a raven. And I find this very interesting, which I'll get to in just a second. But also in this scene, it kind of correlates to that because they're talking about the houses and how they never forget and how they're very loyal. And they believe they have the Umbers the Manderleys and the Karstarks, I think, on their side. So all they need is, a strong leader. I believe it is Davos that's kind of playing devil's advocate in this scene, saying, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, you're Stark kids, but Jon over here doesn't have the name. And Sansa's like, Jon doesn't, but I do. At this point, Jon kind of looks baffled. And that baffled me because I think Sansa is coming into her own in a political role. And I would think that Jon would want to take a step back, especially after being murdered by the Night's Watch, just for doing what he thought was right. But from this scene, it kind of looked like he was getting pissed off that Sansa was stepping on his toes a bit. I don't know. Sansa said that she trusts Jon later to Brienne, and Brienne asked her, well, then why'd you lie to him about your uncle and his army? Why did you not tell him the truth about where you received that information? And I'm like, that's a really good point. What is going on with Sansa? Like, if you can't trust your own brother 100%, then what are you doing? But I also believe that it's showing that Sansa is going to be a political player in this game now. She's finally getting it in her head. In the small council meeting, she was the one that was taking charge. Did you guys notice that? Davos was kind of spitballing ideas with her. Jon was throwing his 2 cents in every now and then, but the majority of it was Sansa speaking. And I think that is what they need if they want to win the North. I think Davos and Sansa were onto something when they said that they needed that Stark name to rally behind. Sure, Jon is, in their eyes, a Stark because it is Ned's choice. In their eyes, it's Ned's kid, right? So, yeah, he is a Stark, okay? But he doesn't have the name to make it official. Sansa does. So I think they need that political strategist, and she can provide that while Jon provides the army and kind of the military role. And I'm really anxious to see where this goes. I hope they don't start turning on each other because that would really suck. But yeah, I'm excited to see where the storyline goes. I really am. Okay. So we get the crew that's riding out. Before they leave, Sansa tells Brienne, I want to send you to the Riverlands to tell my uncle to come fight for us. And Brienne is very hesitant because she swore an oath to protect Sansa. And we've all seen how well Brienne's oaths have worked before. Remember the candle last season, anyone? Anyone at all? Oh, I do. So yeah. She basically sends Brienne on her way while everyone else mounts up to go rally the North. And yes, I hope we get to see some of that next week. The other army, or the not the Wildling, jeez, the White Walker army, who's led by the Night King, have come to the tree, and holy crap, they are massive. They're so big. So we obviously know now that the White Walkers can create their own by kidnapping the babies, and I don't know what they do to them. I think the guy in the beginning got stabbed with dragon's glass, but I'm not 100% sure. So, yeah, they come there. The children are trying to fight them off with these fireballs as best they can, and it's not really working. They end up making a little circle, but the Night King and his trusted advisors get right through and storm the tree. And now, I mentioned a theory, I believe it was in one of my recaps that I did with my sister, about how I think that Bran actually might be able to influence the past, especially with the whole Ned Stark thing, with the Tower of Joy, Ned going up and then stopping when Bran said his name. Tonight, Bran is in a flashback at Winterfell. I believe his father is left, and I want to say he's actually going to be sired, but I don't know. So that's my thought on that. If you guys know for sure, let me know down in the comments. But Hodor is obviously still there, and all of this is going on simultaneous to what's going on at the tree with the three-eyed raven. So we get this scene that, Mira is desperately trying to wake up Bran, saying, "Get up, we need Hodor, we have to go, now." And he can hear her while he's at Winterfell. And the Three-Eyed Raven's like, "You need to listen to her, you need to go." So I'm pretty sure he wargs into Hodor and kind of helps to get them out of there. But, oh my gosh, on the way out, we get Summer, who is killed by the others. And you guys, I was devastated. So now we have 2 direwolves left, maybe. We have Ghost. If anything happens to Ghost, that'll be my limit. And then we have supposedly Nymeria, because Arya sent her away. And she's running around with like a wild pack now. They really need to bring Nymeria back because they're running out of direwolves. So they're down Nymeria. Okay. Hodor, Mira, and Bran are running. Well, obviously Bran's not running. They're trying to escape from the others. They get out, and Mira takes Bran and tells Hodor to hold the door. While this is happening, she keeps screaming it over and over, "Hold the door, hold the door." And while this is happening, we get a shot of Bran at Winterfell. Sorry. And he sees that Hodor has collapsed, and his eyes roll back into his head. And all of a sudden, he starts going, "Hold the door, hold the door." And as time goes on, it gets shorter and shorter, more condensed to Hodor. So obviously that is what happened to him. That is how he got his name. So is Bran influencing the past? And what do you guys think that that is going to mean for the future of Game of Thrones? I'm really excited about this. I have no idea where they could take it though. You know, my only thought right now is that Bran is influencing the past, or if he's not at the moment, definitely has the ability to influence more of the past. But I really don't know because I can't think of what's Bran's end game, what is his storyline. It's super weird. But I'm really enjoying this season of Game of Thrones. I think it is amazing. So I think that was it. Yeah. That was everything for this episode of Game of Thrones. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. What is Bran going to do? I need Bran theories. I have obviously not watched any, gosh, my throat is so dry tonight, you guys. I have not watched any of my usual post-Game of Thrones recaps because I wanted to get this out. I needed to talk to you about my aggression for the show right now because they are killing direwolves, they're killing Hodor, and I cannot take it anymore. So I want to know where you guys think Bran is going. Jeez, that was crazy. And I also want to know what you guys think of the Rob's dead. Of the Sansa and Jon storyline, because that's another one that I'm really excited to see. And one last question for you guys. Where are Yara and Theon going? Did they ever say? If they did, I missed it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!